Okay, so welcome everyone, and this is the online maker modules for Scratch, the flipped approach. So hello to you. We're lucky today, actually. We have our fearless leader here, Dr. Jeanette Hughes. I wasn't sure, she's very busy, and we weren't sure that she was going to be able to make it today. So Dr. Jeanette Hughes, can you say hello to everyone and maybe tell them about yourself?
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm not staying. I just wanted to pop in and say hello and offer my support. And as you know, as most of you probably know, if you've been to the website, we have a fairly active and productive lab, Maker Lab, and we're very happy to be helping teachers, I guess, all around the world prepare for this new challenge. So we're here to support you.
Thanks, Jeanette. So I am Margie Lamb, and I am a teacher in secondary. I teach chemistry and biology, but I also am getting my master's at Ontario Tech University, and I work with Jeanette in the STEAM 3D lab, as do a couple other members that are here. So our lab manager, Laura, and we have another research assistant, Jen. Maybe you could say hello. They're here, they'll be joining.
I'll go first. So yes, I have been working with Jeanette since 2012. The lab has taken a couple different forms. I guess it started as the Digital Literacies Lab, and now we're the Maker Lab. So yeah, just doing research and teaching. That's about it.
Yeah, same. So I've been with the lab since September 2017. It's been fantastic. My focus tends to be primary junior education. For those of you who have met me, we've already talked about this, but we have a good spread in the lab of grade level coverage and everything like that. So we're excited to be supporting teachers at this time.
Thanks, Jen. And we also very lucky today to have Ian Brody. Can you say hello and introduce yourself, Ian?
Hi, everyone. I'm Ian Brody. I'm sessional faculty at Ontario Tech now that I've retired. Spent 28 years teaching grades 1 to 8 and lots of coding and things.
Thanks so much. We're lucky to have Ian. He come in today and help us facilitate. He brings so much knowledge, not only of teaching, but also of coding. Way much. So thank you. As Jeanette said, and she mentioned something about our website. So the link is here if you want to see more details. We have a lot of information on there, and also future sessions will be posted on there, as they'll also be communicated out with social media. It's under our VPLN section, which is our Virtual Professional Learning Network. So I'm going to continue on. And welcome to those who have joined as well. So just at a glance, just to show you what we're going to go through, sort of our agenda for today, who we are, we just did, the icebreaker. So we just want to get to know who you are, and if you could tell us if you're teaching, and maybe just a little bit about what you hope to get out of today's session. Then we're just going to quickly go through why code in general and what is Scratch. And then we're going to go into our breakouts, and our breakouts are really going to focus on the challenges that we posed to you in the flipped approach. We're going to give you around 15 minutes at the beginning just to be able to review some of them again in case you didn't get through everything. And then we're going to go through them together and have that discussion. And then finally, we're going to come back together as a group, and we're going to talk about what are some of the strategies when teaching coding in general. And we're going to talk about some specific learning activities. So those are the timeframes. We're not sure that they're going to fall along, but we're going to try and keep to that for now. And then finally, we're going to have a debrief at the end. So moving on, and I do ask that maybe Jen and Laura can help me with the chats. It's sometimes difficult to keep up with those chats as you go along. I do encourage you, if you are teachers and doing online learning, if at all possible, maybe having a student lead help you with some of the chats, because it is something that you want to try and manage as you're doing a presentation, for example, and then being able to see the comments. So my first question that, and it's a lot of what I've encountered through working through coding, whether it be Scratch or robotics when we're doing coding. There's a lot of discussions that have always led me back to, why do we need to learn to code? Why is that important? And I love this quote from Steve Jobs, which says, everybody in the country should learn to code because it teaches you how to think. But there are a lot of different reasons why you can learn to code. Here's just some of them that I have particularly found very important, and put them down here, and what we've noticed in different sessions that we've conducted in our research. One of the things is it prepares students for future careers. So if I start thinking about Internet of Things and artificial intelligence and how this is going to shape our future world, you start to realize that coding is becoming a fundamental skill set that is required for these future jobs. And are we preparing our students for that? That's a question. And in many other jobs, not just focused on technology, but in other jobs in general, having those coding skills is becoming more and more important. And also the next point, which is it develops 21st century skills. So I just listed a few. Thanks, Jeanette. Sorry, see you later. But collaboration, perseverance, resiliency, troubleshooting. There's just so many of these 21st century skill sets that I have seen developed as the students are working through different coding projects. And creativity, as Ian said. So yes, students create, they innovate with technology. So this is a really important thing that I've sort of noticed. In a lot of our digital generation, as some call it, I've noticed a lot, their students and young people are very adept at using technology. They're very good at consuming technology. But the question arises, and I've seen some of the research is, are they able to actually create and innovate with this technology? And that's where I believe coding does come into play, and the importance of coding. So they're not just consuming it, they're not just able to use an app, but they're actually able to develop that app. And then obviously techniques for identifying and solving problems, and design thinking. So when you do have a coding project, you have to think about what I want to achieve and how I'm going to get there. And you have to design through that process, thinking about the big ideas and how you're going to narrow those down. But that's some of the things I think. I want to ask you, what are your thoughts on why students should learn to code? And Ian, if you want to hop in here too, or anyone wants to hop in, just let me know. And I see some comments here. So I see risk-taking has been said here. I think it's something we should have been in the curriculum 20 to 30 years, Shannon. A good point. Problem solving.
We've actually known how to do this since the 1980s. Which is, that's par for the course in education. We're a very conservative profession. We like to take our time to learn how to do things. But like Papert showed us the way, like in 1980 with Mindstorms, and it's only taken us like 40 years to get to it.
So good point there, Ian. I feel like sometimes in education, it's really based on that industrial era. If you've ever seen Sir Ken Robinson, he has a really great
absolutely, yes.
TED Talk. And I think there it just points to the fact that, and many are looking at ways to sort of change the way that we're educating. But one of the ways that we can sort of really get into there and think about problem and critical thinking and troubleshooting and those deeper things that we're always trying to get to as teachers is through coding. That's just what I've noticed.
Yeah, absolutely. The one thing that in our favor is that we're ready for this now. We're ready for it. We want to do it, and we can see how the kids can do it. And when we see the kids, when you actually see the kids doing it, it's amazing, and you'll be convinced.
Right. I think the big challenge that I have heard from a lot of teachers is that they want to make that it's important to distinguish between play and between how to meet the curriculum needs. And I think that's always something we always come into a conversation about. And so I think that really there is a time for play, and there is that inquiry, free play, tinkering, but I like to call it discovery. But I think when we start planning and thinking, and hopefully get some activities as we go through this presentation about how to actually incorporate some meaningful activities that could align to some of the concepts you're trying to teach.
Absolutely.
So moving on, not just coding, but I think it was Yufuk that mentioned the idea of other languages or the other types of coding. So there's syntax, and then there's block coding. There's also icon coding, if you've seen that as well. So the question is, why learn to code? For any of you familiar before, you might have known syntax. It's almost like learning another vocabulary. You know, think of Java, C++, or C++, or if you think of Python, all of these other syntax, some of them can be very challenging to learn, especially for beginners. So I thought, and personally from what I've seen, starting with block coding, when this started getting created, it just became easier, I think, than using that text-based programming to start off with. I also like the idea that it has that low floor, high ceiling. So you mentioned Paper and that constructionist thinking, and we call it the maker pedagogies when we talk about that low floor and high ceiling. So starting low, being able to have very beginners coming in and using block coding, but it also, there's a lot of functionality in block coding. So it does allow those people that have more experience to be able to come in and create and innovate. And UFAC says, although there's a limited syntax issues with Python, even that is challenging, and we cover the foundations with Scratch. So moving on to, and I think the other thing that I love about it is that it's color-coded, snaps in place like puzzle pieces. So for younger students, or from the primary and elementary ages, primary and junior ages, very easy for them to start thinking about how it can fit together. So making it easier. And of course, there's so many free online platforms. So Scratch is just one of them. Code.org, Snap, and then if you also talk about Make Code, which we're going to be talking about next week if you're interested in, Microbit uses that, but so does Minecraft, so does so many others, and they're all, it's now, although the Microbit cost money, the Make Code from Microsoft is free. So in here, I just wanted to ask here, is there any thoughts on your block coding? Shannon says, I find the logic of it easier to process, and children are able to express themselves creatively on the computer. All valid points. So now Scratch. So Scratch is a block coding environment, and it's free. It was created by MIT Media Lab. I think his name is Mitch Resnick. Is one of the leaders, the creators, and it was part of I think their kindergarten program. I'm not sure the exact name of it, but they wanted to really encourage students to get out there and code. And again, it allows those interactive stories, games, and animations. I just wanted to ask you, we did the flipped classroom. Hopefully some of you were able to do that, and maybe some of you already have experience. What are your thoughts on Scratch in particular? Thank you, Andrew. It's a lifelong kindergarten lab. As a block coding environment. What do you think? Did you find it, I think Nadia brought out the fact that Andrew says he likes it. Nadia mentioned that she found it a little bit challenging, and that's fair. I mean, you know, if it's the first time that you've come out and looked at a block coding environment, as much as it's color coded, it can be a little intimidating.
Yeah, I had trouble when I did it in class, is trying to put the code for each sprite, and then I would see that, I don't know why, my code from the previous sprite just disappeared. Like, that was very frustrating. Like, I just found that hard. Yeah, I don't know why the code was disappearing every time. So, and it's still kind of happening. So I want to kind of get to know what am I doing wrong that I'm not able to get that.
Yeah. So we'll definitely talk about that today, Nadia, for sure. And that's fair. There are some issues. I'll be honest with you. I was working on a code I think a week ago, and it was something that I thought would be easy to do, and it was just taking me so long. And so there is a bit of that frustration in learning. And so that was something that Laura mentioned as well, is this idea that students can get frustrated when they're learning things like Scratch. So that just-in-time learning is really critical to do. And sometimes different pedagogical approaches to learning, you have to really think about it with your students. Flipped Classroom, for example, may not be the right one to use for all. You'll have to think about how you can help with your students when they're learning, especially in an online environment. I did want to point out here Scratch for Educators. These are great resources. If you didn't get to see the first video that was presented in the flipped approach, we do show you where it is. But this Scratch Ed website and the Scratch for Educators, so many different things here, discussion forums, resources, connections, great. The other thing I wanted to mention, I think I saw someone when they registered that they might be dealing with kindergarten and kindergarten to grade 3. So I did want to point out here, I have a link here to Scratch Junior. So I do have I always test out everything with my children, and my son is in grade 5, so he's 10, and my daughter is kindergarten, senior kindergarten, and she is 6, just turned. And she uses Scratch Junior, so I'll do projects together with them, but he uses Scratch and she uses Scratch Junior. And but I do find that at 5 and 6 years old, it may require a lot of more hands-on, really supportive. So online learning with that might be a challenge for sure. But I did want to point out here the link to Scratch Junior for the other ages, for the younger ages. So we're ready to go into the flipped classroom. So I just wanted to talk about a little bit about the presentation that you would have received. So it was built into 3 different parts. Online environment, that was the first video with the first challenges. But the really critical part of like the coding was the intro to coding and the advanced level coding. The intro to coding was just an overall, some people could have called the advanced maybe mid-level, maybe more advanced. One point about it is when you do a flipped classroom, some might get out a lot and some may not get out as much. So that's why we really wanted to have the breakout sessions to help you to go through this in depth. We did pose challenges. So in the presentation you have right now, you'll also see those challenges so we can bring them back during the breakout session. So here's just a little bit of details in terms of how the breakouts are going to work. We said approximately 45 minutes. So, sorry, I'm just looking at the comments here. We said approximately 45 minutes for the breakout sessions. I'm going to ask for breakout 1 to be everyone who is primary or junior. So if you are teaching primary, junior, or if you're teaching younger students, I guess within those ranges, that maybe we'll stick to that. So I had names such as Morafat, Nadia, Azra, Amanda, Shannon, and Tara. However, if any of you want to move on to the intermediate senior, which Ian will be leading in breakout 2, by all means, you can go there. But we do sort of want to split it as evenly as possible so we can, and there's a pretty small amount of us, so we should be able to split this nicely. So what we're going to do in the breakout sessions is, first and foremost, we're going to explore. We do want to show you how, if you haven't signed up to be part of the class, we do want you in that class, and we want you to save projects in the studio that we created called Online Scratch Learning. And there's some demonstrations in the next videos. So Ian, if you could show them that as well, that'd be great. And then we want to review the challenges that were posed to you.
Sorry, I missed that. I was posting the address.
No worries.
There's videos.
So the next 2 slides, I do show them how to get into that class.
Oh,
So
okay.
if they haven't done it, if they could get into that class, and
Okay.
also if they can save any projects, particularly those that they have questions or queries or they want to share, if they could share it in that in the studio called Online Scratch Learning. And I have the instructions in the next 2 slides.
Well, that's good because I don't know how to do that yet.
Yeah, so it's all there.
You'll all get to see me learn all at once. That's awesome.
Perfect.
Fun.
And then we're going to review the challenges, we're going to discuss questions, and then we're going to overview Scratch extensions. So does that work for everyone? To access Breakout 2, you're going to click on the link. So again, those are for intermediate and senior students. And again, it'll be 45 minutes approximately, Ian. So I think Laura will be with you. So we'll try to, they're going to help keep us on track. Because I know I'll need it. So I'm going to ask right now if for those of you that are primary junior, if you could stay here, and then we'll ask the other ones to go out to Breakout 2, and then we'll come back into the main group this session again in 45 minutes.
So where is the link? Sorry.
So Breakout number 2, do you see it here? You should be able to click on that right here.
Okay, I'll try. Okay.
It's also
Ian.
It's in the chat.
Yeah, Ian's posted it in the chat there.
And the other thing I wanted to mention is we have noticed that there's some challenges sometimes when you have 2 different Google Meets open. So you might want to close off the main meeting and make sure that you're in the second meeting.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
I love that, Nadia. That's awesome.
Can I use my Scratch account to log in? Because it's saying no. I have to create a second one?
So yeah, this is the now. If you want, here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to pull it up here. So I've been going to a bunch of different teacher, those Scratch Ed website just to see the discussions of teachers and see some of the limitations of the teacher account. So one of the limitations is that you can't just use your existing account to get into, so students have some existing accounts, but they can't use it to get into a class. So that is definitely a negative. Jen and I were just talking about it earlier on. That's very frustrating because you might have a lot of projects already there. What I would suggest is if you have a project that you've already worked on and you want to share it, or we have a question, we want to discuss it, you can present. I'll let you take over. You can show it on your screen and then we can walk through it like that, versus the reason I was doing it for the teacher is A, to show everyone what a teacher account looks like, but B, also to have one per studio that we can all work in.
No, that's fine. Yeah, I don't have anything built anyway, so.
Okay. So yes, so for maybe I'll ask, because we have our smaller group here, if was everyone, primary, junior, younger stays. So if anyone has everyone been able to sign up with the teacher account that wants to? I'll just, if you could all say yes, or just I'm okay, let me know. So I think we have maybe 4 here: Nadia, Morfat, Shannon, and Azra. In fact, you don't even, if you want to just, Morfat, yes. Is anyone having to create one, or is creating one now?
I think I'm in. I keep flipping time, so.
Shannon, okay.
So, yeah.
And then I think it's just Azra. Azra, are you okay to? I'm going to assume just got in. Okay, perfect. Okay. So the next thing I just wanted to show you from the slides before I actually get into Scratch is to show you the how to share to a studio. So we have, even if you are a student in there, your projects don't automatically get saved. You actually have to share them. So when you look up here in a project, so on the left-hand side here, this is an actual project, just I did a short little picture, a small little picture. At the top, you'll see that there's the option to share. And then once you hit share, it brings you to your project page. And you can go to the bottom here to add to the studio. And then it brings up another menu over here. And you'll have to click on the online Scratch Learning. It will automatically appear because you're part of the class. and then you can click on it and hit OK. Now, if you have a project that you want to share, this is how you share it in that studio. If we have a question or you've tried a challenge and it doesn't work, I encourage you to share it there, because then I can go in and present it on the screen and we can look at it together. Does that make sense to everyone? Thumbs up, or yeah, look, I see shaking heads, so we're good. So that's the other challenge about Google Meet. I can only see a certain number of pictures. So I'll just look at the chats and see, and looks like everything's perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna go into Scratch right now. Here, just again, here's the slides if you needed to see, if you haven't got them open. I'm keeping 2 windows open. Right now, for 15 minutes, I'm going to ask you guys to play, to go in. I know some of you have had some chance to do the flipped classroom. Some of you may not have. So right now, I'd like to give you 15 minutes to be able to just go in and continue playing, continue trying those challenges, and continue working. As you try out these things in Scratch, if you find that there is a question that comes up, you can put it in the chat, and I'm going to keep track of them, and we're going to come back together after 15, and we're going to go through those together. Does that sound okay? So I'll give you some time to play right now. So it's 1:40. We'll come back at 1:55. Well, we'll still be here. I'll be looking at the chats, and I'm going to be in the Scratch myself, and I'm going to be looking at anything that comes in.
Before we break off, can I just make a quick comment, Margie?
Sure, yes, please.
So I was just thinking, this is a good illustration of if doing a flipped approach is something that you might want to undertake in your own sort of venture into online learning. You do have to take into consideration that sometimes, depending on your context and your environment, not everyone will have had a chance to fully go through the material that you've sent them before. Ideally, they would have, but that's not necessarily the case, especially now where we're all kind of rapidly transitioning to this sort of space. So even like Margie's doing now, just giving us time to go in and, refresh ourselves on that material can be a good place to start if this is something you're going to try with your own students.
Yes, thanks, Jen. And that's perfect. The other thing I wanted to mention is when you are going into your account as a student, if you're signed in, you'll be able to see your class. Now, I have the teacher account, so this is what it looks like for me. And I can see that I've set up this particular class right here. I can see my students. I have 13 of them right now. I can see that we have one studio here. And I can see, if I click on it, I can see these different projects that are in there. So we have actually added some projects that, should anyone have a question, I wanted to immediately have that code available for you. So I just wanted to let you know that as well, because I know some of you cannot necessarily see the class. So we'll let you play to 1:55. If you're approaching issues or have a question, you can put it in the chat, and I'll keep track of them so that we can come together after that. Is everyone okay with that? Good.
Hi, Margie.
Hi.
Hi, I had a question. So
Sure.
my goal is to, I'm creating this thing where the frog eats the butterfly. It's about nature, more butterfly. But if I go to the frog's sprite, my butterfly, I don't want the code that I put there to disappear. What do I do? Like, is there a thing where you save it?
Sorry, I just want to get into Scratch. Just give me 1 second here, Nadia.
Okay.
It's not appearing on my main screen here. I just want to make sure I'm focused in on your question. Just 1 sec.
Do you want me to share what I have so far?
Yeah, if you could share it into that studio and then I could look at it. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get my Scratch open so you can view it as well. And I'm going to have to stop sharing and start sharing again. So just give me 1 sec.
Okay. Okay, I shared it.
Okay. So if I go into the studio.
Yeah, so mine is cache 1326.
Just give me a sec. It's got a little lag on it, I can see here. So again, your question is?
So I put the code for the butterfly to keep flying. Oh my God, where's my code gone?
Is that the nature?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to go in right now. No, and that's the other thing. No worries. We all started somewhere, and don't feel embarrassed at all, Nadia.
Oh my
Please,
God,
yeah.
my butterfly disappeared. How do I get it back? Oh, this is the problem I always have with it. So I clicked on my butterfly, and I think I've disappeared the butterfly. But the project is saved, isn't it?
Yeah,
It should
I
be
see it here. It actually saves automatically. So,
oh my goodness. So the butterfly is gone now. Oh, so all the code that I put is gone.
so I see your butterfly here, but perhaps, so I'm actually have it here,
Okay.
and it's appearing. I have a whole bunch of code in here that's appearing on your butterfly. I see a tree. There's nothing in the tree. There's no coding in the tree, and there's no coding in the frog.
Yeah, it's just in the butterfly, but since I by mistake did something and my butterfly code is gone, can I retrieve it back or it's gone?
Well, I'm seeing it on the same project.
I'm not seeing it live though here.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you to present. Let's see what you see. I'm going to stop sharing. Let's see what you see.
I just see the frog and the tree. That's it.
Oh, I need you to present. Sorry. Can you go to the side, go at the bottom of the Google Meet and present now so that this way we can see your screen. And then that way I can see what you're seeing. Do you know what I mean? Because I can't see it in the studio. When I did look in it, your code is all there.
That's what I see. You see mine?
I see your I don't see it. You're not presenting. In Google Meet.
One second.
So go at the bottom on the right-hand side.
Present now. Yeah, and do I do my entire screen or just the window?
Doing the entire screen just makes it easier. That way, I did a window before, and if you pull different windows out, then you don't see it anymore. So just do the entire screen.
While Nadia is getting that set up, this kind of raises an interesting question for me, is if you share a project to the studio, Marky, yeah, you're not necessarily seeing it in real time as Nadia is. You're seeing the version of it as it was saved, right? So you're seeing almost like a separate instance. So any changes that Nadia makes, Marky's not going to see until Nadia saves them and commits them and shares it back to the studio, I believe is my understanding.
Correct. That is exactly correct. I tested this out with multiple, and what I found was that what it was doing was every time I went in, it was saving it just as you said, as an instance, basically. So if she continues playing, then it will not be the same version that I had open. If I had remixed that, though, I could have saved it, and then Nadia, you could have seen what I saw. So I'm looking at yours right now, and I can see that your sprite is gone. Your butterfly sprite is gone.
Yeah.
But I want to ask something. If you want to see any project that you have open, do you see how your name is up there in the right-hand side and it says cache? Yeah. Click on that.
Yeah.
And click on my stuff.
Okay.
What I found sometimes is earlier versions might show up. And in this case,
it's not showing up because it's just showing up with the frog, isn't it? Just the frog and the tree, and the butterfly is gone.
So my suspicion, and I can't say that this is for sure, but my suspicion is, did you click on, let's go back into the project. Can you go back into nature?
Yes. Oh, it's taking its time.
Yeah, I think because we're all in there, it's going to be a little bit slow. If you see how the tree is highlighted in the sprites there, if you go down, see how there's that little trash can with the X? If you by chance hit that X, it deletes that sprite and every code that goes with it. Because your code was there. When you saved it, it was there.
Yeah.
The other thing is let's say on your keyboard, you think you're highlighting. I'm going to show you something actually. So could you come out of presenting, and I'm going to go in and present now. I'm going to show you what can happen.
Yeah. I'm back.
No, and
You're back.
don't stress it, but this is important to learn because I think once you see it, it will help.
Oh, you have my code there.
Yeah, I have it. So we have the code. I can see it. Now, I'm going to show you a little hint here. You see at the bottom, and look at my Google Meet is covering it up, but I'm going to click on this. It's called a backpack.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and I have a bunch of codes here. One thing about the backpack is you can actually share this code. If I wanted the same code to be on the frog and to be on the tree, I could literally just take this and drag it down to my backpack, and it actually copies the entire code. So now you can see the script is there. And if you're worried about saving a big long code that you have created, then that might be a good idea to save it there just to make sure that you've got the code and it's always present. So there, it doesn't matter what project you open, this backpack will be available to you. So if you create a new project, you could actually put this script in. But I'm going to show you what could happen. Right now, you have your butterfly highlighted. Do you see right here? It's highlighted. If I was to press this X button, it would delete the entire thing.
Yes, I think I probably did that.
Right. The other thing is perhaps maybe you didn't even click on this and press the delete, but if I had, because it's highlighted, if I press the delete button, and I'm going to do just the button, then it could delete this as well. So I'm going to try that right now because I've already copied your code. Okay, actually it didn't delete with the delete button. So the only thing that I can foresee why it was gone is that perhaps maybe when you hovered over, you went like that. Could look at it, it's gone now, but I can actually look what I can do now. I can go and get the butterfly back. I went back into my sprites. I click on here. There's the butterfly, and I'm going to pull this script up here, and it's right there. So one thing that the only thing I can think is maybe you hovered over and hit the X. That's the only reason. Like it shouldn't arbitrarily just, I mean, I haven't experienced code just disappearing. Has anyone else, Shannon?
Only me.
Well, listen, I've had things happen to me no one else seems to experience. Don't worry, Nadia. But if you're finding that this is happening, let's put your mind at ease. Copy your code down into your backpack, saved, and you're okay. Okay?
Okay.
And
so, my next question is, if I put a code on the frog, I just have to go and click the frog. I don't have to do anything, and the blank page will appear and it'll all work together. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. So if you click, so the thing about working in Scratch is there's different block coding environments, but the thing about Scratch is the code that you create and the project that you create, every time you add code, it's very specific to the sprites. In other coding environments I've used, you can actually have just one coding platform and the code isn't just specific. You can make it specific to all. But in this particular case in Sprite, and the case I'm thinking of is CoSpace EDU. But in this particular case, you need to add the code specifically to the sprite. So you need to click on that sprite at the bottom here and then add it there.
Okay.
Okay. Does that help, Nadia?
To do the code all over again, but that's okay.
If actually you don't have to, because I'm going to remix this and I'm going to share it and I'm going to put it into our studio. And guess what? You can go and grab it there. So if you go into the studio, it's now, I think I added it to the studio. Okay. Yep. So if you go into your classes, like I'm doing right now, I'm going my classes. You'll see right here the studios.
Oh, okay.
Do you see that? And the online Scratch learning. Here's this studio here, and there's your nature remix, and it's right there. Let me know if you're navigating that.
Yeah, I got it.
Perfect.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, so keep working through your different things. We only got maybe another minute or so. Was everybody?
Oh, no.
Yeah, keep going. Maybe I'll give another 5 minutes just to get everybody really playing.
Hey, Maggie.
Yes.
I have a question with the backdrops.
Yes.
So, with my project, I tried to change the backdrop. So it started initially with a different backdrop, and I added another backdrop, right? So, but when I run the code initially, it shows me from the beginning, like from the backdrop I had originally, and the command I put and how it changed to the backdrop. And I saved it. But when I go to my file or the project files to run the code, it's just showing me one backdrop. It's not showing me that I had two backdrops put in place together.
Okay. Okay, that's perfect. Can I ask you to do what I did, which is share it to this online Scratch Studio? Give me the name. I'm going to ask everybody to come back because this is actually one of the challenges. So let's go through it together. Maybe I'm going to pull up the code once you've shared it, Morafat.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask if anybody recognizes maybe what happened. Okay?
Okay. Okay.
So let's do it that way.
How do I share? Like I'm looking for the option to share my.
Okay, are you in your so I'm going to stop presenting. I'm wondering if I can get are you in your actual code environment, like your project?
I can go that now.
Yeah, you got to be in there. And then at the top,
there.
you'll see, I'll just go into one, right? Let's go into
Okay.
Nature Remix here. The top, you will see, it takes a couple seconds. I think it's a little slow today.
Okay.
I'm going to go inside. Did you share it? Were you able to share?
No.
Do you see this screen in your project?
Oh, where am I? Okay. Just give me one second. Actually, no. So I'm gonna go here. So am I sharing it through the?
You want to share it to that particular online learning, online Scratch.
Yeah, I did. Oh, sorry. I did that already.
Okay.
I can give you the name. Yeah.
So Shannon, we'll come to yours right afterwards. Shannon, could I ask you to save your project in the save project in the studio, and then we'll come to that next. I need a lot more practice with this. Yes, Azra, I will say needs a little bit of practice, especially at the beginning. But I'm going to go in and see if I can find more fat so that we can all see together. So I believe one of the challenges that I had was to have your Scratch go through multiple different backgrounds, right?
Yeah.
So let's take a look here. What's the name of it, Morafat?
Social distancing.
Social distancing. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Are you forensic teacher?
Yeah, because I have a forensic background.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. No, I don't mean to ask about the, I remember. I just want to make sure I'm grabbing the right one. My apologies.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saving things in there, so.
Okay.
No, I get you. I love the name. Okay, so let's go social distancing. Okay, so we're going here.
Okay.
And let's see your. So I see you got a few backdrops here.
Okay.
A bench with a thing and a bench here. Okay. Sorry, I'm going fast. So I'm going to slow down here. I'm just looking at her code right now. And I can see, so one thing I did sort of say, which not a lie, just maybe I didn't tell the whole truth. I said your code is associated to a particular sprite. Code can also be associated to a particular backdrop as well. Okay, so as you can see here, I could drag and drop different codes specifically to this backdrop, for example. But let's go here you said that you cannot, it's not switching.
Yeah, it's not switching because I started with the bench background. That was the backdrops. That was the first backdrop. Then I added the motion blocks for it to and then change to the other backdrop, right?
Okay, let me go here. Let me
And
get
when
out of here for 1 second.
okay.
Let me just go back because I think, yikes, to my backdrop. So you started with the baseball one, right?
No, the bench one.
The bench, sorry.
Yeah, I choose my sprite.
Oh, it was the bench.
Yeah, that's the
Oh,
first
and
one.
that
I
is
don't
your,
know.
which number is that? You have a couple benches here. Bench 2, 3,
It was
and
supposed
5.
to switch back. Okay, so
Okay.
just bench 2.
Bench 2. Okay. So then you wanted to switch to the baseball. Oh, I can see that she's in the corner here. Okay. So you have your sprite here. She's going.
Yeah.
And then she says, "Where is everyone?" And then it is supposed to switch to backdrop to baseball 2. And it did. So it did work. I think, Marfat, what's happening is it's very slow.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's, Scratch is very slow at this point or not. But here's a little thing. We can try and turn on turbo mode. I have heard turbo mode, from my understanding, it allows your program to go through the code much quicker. So it processes it much quickly. Usually you use this when you have high processing needs in a code. But I'm going to turn it on. Let's see what happens if it goes any faster. So I see what's happening. So one of the things that's happened is it just seems to be okay. So do you notice how it didn't start with the background?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to.
Right.
Why is it not doing
so
that?
we need to sort of start it with the background that you want. Because if I just switch it, or it ended here, and if I just start the code again, it's actually just ending with what I have shown. So if you want to actually show a different backdrop when you start, you need to set it that way. So if we go into looks on the left, I can say immediately I want to switch right at the top. As soon as I start this, I want to switch to the beach with a view. Is that the one? You got a few of them. Let's start. The bench with a view. So now, as soon as I click this, it should change my background. Let's take a look. Right away.
Oh, okay.
Do you see that? So it's almost like telling it where to start and then what to switch it to.
But
and
why
it is
is it flying
10 seconds.
up?
So she is moving 10 steps. She says, "Where is everybody?" And then it's going to for 10 seconds. 10 seconds is a long time. Usually when they're talking, I'll maybe give it 2.
Okay.
Do you see how long it's taking? I would, how your waits are 10 seconds? I would actually change that to maybe 1 or 2.
Okay.
I find sometimes if you have a long conversation, then maybe, and you want them to read it, then that's where you maybe need longer time. But where is everyone? It'd be fine to do like 1 or 2 seconds.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Does that help?
You.
Did everyone see how I had to set the first background first and then move to the second one?
Thank you.
Okay, if I look through here, let's look here. I'm going to look at some of the comments. So Shannon, I'm trying to add the code again. I just have one. I just wanted to change costumes on the go, which I haven't been able to do to figure out how to do. Yay. So Shannon, looks like you got through it all. Can I take a look at, can you maybe, because what you discovered may be helpful to everybody else. Do you want to share your screen, or do you want to me to show it and we can walk through it?
Let me just add in the last line now that I know how to flip costumes.
Awesome. See, within that time that I was showing more fat, right? It's that perseverance. I can get through this.
And there we go. Stop all. And save. And then you said I have to
So
share.
I'll get at a presenting. Yeah, I think I'm presenting. Oh, do you want me to go through it, or do you want to go through it?
If I just share to the main classroom studio, that will allow you to do it?
Right.
Okay, I will work at that.
You do that? Okay, so I will move over to the studio.
And add to studio once I have it named.
Yeah. You should see, it'll say you have to
Scratch
share it.
learning.
Add to studio.
Okay.
And I just
should be there.
Should be there. What's it called?
Busy Frog. Oh, named. Named Chuck.
Oh, there you go. Cute. Busy Frog named Chuck. Now, please know, like, we're all learning together. I know some things. By no means am I the expert. Jen is also here to help as well, and she knows a lot as well. But, you know, we all started somewhere, so please share your things, because whatever you learned can be helpful to everybody else. So I'm going to take a look and see inside. So what challenge were you trying to accomplish here, or what were you trying to accomplish here?
Mostly just exploring and, you know, seeing kind of what options were available, really, because I've never used this one before. And it is similar to like code.org and stuff as far as, you know, the parameters, the logic blocks and that kind of stuff. But there seems to be a bit more variety because you're using animation, you can make it talk and think and switch costumes. And so I found that kind of cool. So really, I just wanted to play with the sprite and see what I could make them do and bring them to life.
Awesome. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to say if you're teaching, let's say you're teaching a class and you're doing this exact thing with your students. The first thing that I sort of do when I look at a code is I sort of do that. I ask what they're trying to do, and then I quickly try, and then I walk through it with them. Or execute it. You could either start by just executing, or you could just walk through. I usually start by looking and reading through and then saying, okay, let's execute it and see if it works the way that you thought it was going to. So the first thing I'm looking at the top is when the flag is pressed, it's going to go to a random position. I'm going to move the frog over here just so I can see it. And then I'm going to think. So it's thinking the show, it's going to be a bubble. And then it's going to go to another random position, and it's going to ask us what's our name. I like this. I like this code. I'm going to tell you why in a minute. So it's asking what's your name. So you're going to put in a name. And then it says, I'm Chuck, for 2 seconds. And then it's going to repeat, go to a random position, wait a second, then go to another one. And it's going to do that 5 times. And then it says, I'm a busy guy. And then it says, gotta go for 2 seconds. It's going to switch to costume frog leaving, like that, and switch the costume to frog zone. But it's only going to do that 2 switches, and it's going to be quick. Okay. And then we're going to stop all. So let's take a look. Follow. He's at go to random position, asking my name. I'm Chuck. And then he's going around 5. I think that's the 5th. I'm a really busy guy. Gotta go now. And so he switched. Do you see how fast that was? It was so quick, right?
So I guess it would be better to like leave a couple seconds in between. Not that my animation for the costumes was great at all. The last one is just blank. And then the middle one is just with a bunch of twirly lines making him half disappear. So
perfect. And I
it was just to kind of see. So now I didn't get a chance to try it because when I tried to switch the costume, all the code disappeared. So I had to kind of redo it. But yeah, so I guess it would be better. Well, I just went to add like the frog that I did, and then when I deleted the one that was there, as soon as I deleted the sprite, all of the code I did deleted as well. So
I see. Yes.
There it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just needed, in order to see the transition better, there needs to be a wait. And I think instead of doing random position, I would do maybe steps or something, and do turns and stuff myself. I knew we didn't have a lot of time, so I didn't want to do all that.
That's great.
But yeah, because then it would, I basically just wanted him to like pop up and be like, hey, and then like be all ADHD and then go, okay, see ya.
Yeah. I mean, that's great. And I really like this because moving around to different places, what you're doing is you're trying the random position.
Yeah.
Next, you can try the XY. So I mentioned in my video, and I got a little feedback from the group, which is the other people in our group, Jen and Laura, which was, and I hope the videos were okay. They were 5 minutes, so I tried to fit it in 5 minutes. But
Less than 5 minutes is good.
Yes. But one of the things is that I sort of skipped through the Cartesian plane and that idea. So people who are not familiar with what a Cartesian plane is, and if I may just use your project, I can always take it out after. But let me just put a backdrop here. This is my Cartesian plane. And so you can see here, I'm going to go back to the costume here just to get a frog in here. So you can see that it works by the X and Y axis. And I did want to show people this so that when you are using an X and Y, it sort of relates back to where it looks like here. And if we start thinking math and teaching kids about math, really understanding that Cartesian plane, particularly the negative numbers, it becomes a little helpful when they see it in this way as well. So the coding that you can do to support math is fun as well. But anyways, so the go-to was the X and Y here that I just wanted to mention. So if you were mentioning that you wanted to switch it to a specific location, that's when you start talking about X and Y. And sometimes having this screen up for kids to see where the 0, 0 is, it can be very helpful and different points, and explain that this is a Cartesian plane. Anyways, I will come out of here because this was not your backdrop. And I'm going to go to yours. The other thing I wanted to mention about your code, oops. So, let me just go here. So it's just a blank one, right, before? Your backdrop, Shannon? Yeah, okay. The other thing I wanted to mention here is I love how you ask my name. And it asked me my name. But one of the things I wanted to mention is that you could also add to this code to say, not just to say, hey, my name's Chuck, you could say hello. And you could, it's hello, my name, the name that you asked.
Oh, I see what you mean. Like he can repeat it back to us.
Right.
Okay, yeah. That's what I was trying to like see what it was capable of. And I didn't even know that it would give me an opportunity to respond actually, which I thought was pretty cool. So it's interactive.
Right. So I will mention one thing about that. When you went in the sensing button to ask a name, and do you notice this little answer below?
Yeah, I didn't know how to use it. So now I do though. So now that's what I would put in. So I would take in a say hello, and then I would type in hello, answer. Right?
Answer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello. I think you have to do it in 2 different bubbles. So you have to say hello and then answer.
Yeah.
And then, so that's one thing you can try if you want to do that. And the other thing I wanted to, yeah, Jen was saying that too. One thing to know about this answer block is that it takes, they could put in numbers here. So important to recognize that it's not just it's gonna pull in whatever they type.
Yeah.
So and what it is called is a variable.
Okay.
So for those of you who aren't familiar with variables, this is the answer thing here is actually what we call a variable, and that's because it's like a space holder. It's like some like a folder, like say a file folder that the computer is holding, and values will change based on who you ask. Yeah. And each time you ask it, they'll pull out the latest answer. Okay. There's also a variable option here, So I just wanted to mention that because that's how the variables work. And yeah, so I really like your code. The one other thing I wanted to mention, if you want to try, and I was going to show everybody this after too, is you can look here. See at the bottom, we have add extensions.
I saw that. I did kind of look at it, and I was like, oh, there's lots of really cool stuff. But that would be like a research tool.
Well, I was going to show it at the end anyway, so I'm going to show it now because I think it's relevant. So there's a couple things you can do with extensions. One is music. So if you want to add on microphones, etc. I haven't explored this one too much, but if you actually want to make it a little bit more engaging with musical instruments, you can.
I wanted to make Chunk talk, so I wanted to do text to speech so that he could.
That's
say.
exactly what I was going to say. So we're thinking of this. I was going to say what you could do is actually have him, instead of just saying, he could actually say it out loud. So that's an option here where you can go into text to speech and they actually speak. I love that option. So now you have your sprite speech. There is also the option within sounds to actually record your own voice, and you can actually incorporate sounds within your sprite. But I do like this option of just, it makes it very easy. And then there's some, sorry, I'm just looking at a comment, making sure I'm on time. Okay, so someone's going to be done in around 15, which is good. Okay. Yeah, I think we need to be, we'll do another 5 minutes here. But this is the end part that I wanted to show everybody. Video sensing is the other one. So you can actually set up a code. My son has done this, and he's doing the dab or, you know, whatever, the dancing, and it actually it works with his code. So the moment he starts dancing, it actually changes his sprite to animate or something. So fun little activities that students can do with these extensions. In one of my challenges, I talked about, so I see Nadia saying, my butterfly is not hiding. Did you want it to hide? Yes.
Is that a yes? Yes, I put the code on for it to hide. The other thing is because it says remix and doesn't say share, how do I save this? Oh, I'm scared I not get out of the page and everything is gone.
You can remix it.
Remix it again?
Yeah, just put like remix Nadia or something like that, and then I'll see it. But just to continue on, just the last sort of things here. If you see pen, you might have seen one of my challenges which said, I want you to draw a shape. And so in order to draw, you can actually use the pen down option. And so when I click on here for pen down, I can actually put the pen down and draw a shape. Or draw what I tell it to draw. And so it'll actually appear as whatever I draw it, whatever I code it. So that's a real fun thing to do with math. I've done a lot of, you can do motion geometry, and that's really fun. And we have some codes in the remixes there as well. But just lastly, to go into that text to speech, those are the options here, and you can set the voice. So you can set it to alto and say hello. So let's, alto is higher, but you can do the bass or the tenor, sorry. Oh, you didn't hear that because that's in my headphones, but you can test it out and try it. So a few more of these extensions are if you have actual hands-on things like a microbit or a makey or Lego Mindstorms, which really extend themselves to further exploring with hands-on making and coding. So thank you very much, Shannon. I'm going to go to the chats just quickly because we're going to spend 5 more minutes. I love the costumes feature. Okay, so Nadia, let's take a look at yours, Nadia.
I just before you get started, I'm going to leave at 2:30 just in case you're not done then, because I'm splitting the time between my workmates team meeting and this one.
So you will meet because we're meeting back in just a 5 minutes. Take a look at the presentation and the video recording because we are going to go through the sorry, not 5 minutes because it's actually till 4. So yeah, we have a little bit more time here for breakouts. But we go through Scratch teaching strategies. So what we're talking about here, so things such as walking through the code. So these are the things I set as almost a list for the students to appreciate before they start coding. So things like, I'm going to make a mistake, and that's good, and that's really important part of learning, and we're going to be good together. Let's make mistakes. Keeping that sort of positive growth mindset is really important in coding. The other things are, I go through them all, and so you'll see them on the video. And then finally, we're going to talk about learning activities. So learning activities are good ones to try. We have some examples there, but we're going to discuss them as well.
I expect there's probably, if this is a really popular platform, there's probably lots of different templates and like learning activity templates, tutorials, that kind of thing that I can find online.
Right.
Hopefully, most educators I know tend to like open resources, so hopefully that's the
yes. If you do have a chance, the flipped classroom. I don't know if you got a chance to see the first video. The first,
yeah.
Okay, so in there, I sort of show you in the about, and I'll quickly go through it. But if you actually go into those educator resources and educator pages, there are tons of resources there, learning lessons, discussions. Oh, I did, this went wrong. But also in Scratch, there's tons of tutorials. So they're little walkthroughs, short videos explaining certain functionality within Scratch. So how to animate, for example.
And where will you put these videos?
We're going to send you a link because we don't, because it's like people's faces are here. We don't want to sort of just post it out anywhere on our Facebook or on our website. So we're going to send it specifically to the participants, and so you'll get access to that.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks. I hope.
Yeah, and that probably isn't going to be until early next week because my internet speed is slow. So to get the videos processed and uploaded takes some time, but we'll send it to you. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I'm just looking here at the timing. So we had 45 minutes originally set for this, and I think we started at around 1:30. So, or no, we set it around 1:45. So it should be 2:30. And we were doing around 30 minutes. Yeah, because we end at 3, right, Jen? So yeah, they can come back in 10 minutes. I think it would be good to come back soon, and we'll just go through Nadia's right now, and then we'll come back because we want to get through that discussion of the strategies. Nadia, I'm going to take a look at yours, if that's all right.
Yes.
Are you there, Nadia?
I shared it. Yeah, I'm there. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
And I'll mention, Nadia, you know me. And so I'll say anytime that you have a question, you can let me know and just add it to the studio, and I'll take a look, if we don't have time to go through it right now. Okay. But
I actually added a background and stuff, but it's not showing on your screen, I guess.
Oh, I'm not in there yet.
Oh yeah, okay, it's showing. Never mind, it's showing.
So is this you, Nature Remix?
Yes, that's me.
Yay. Okay, so let's go in. How's it going, Morafat? I think you're in there as well. And Azra, I hope you're both doing okay. Because the things that we're going through here are the same as the challenges. So if you have any questions, if there's anything specific that you want to ask away. Yeah, Jen mentions remixing is an awesome way. And it's actually, from my understanding, it's part of the computer science, one of the steps to understanding coding is the ability to remix. It's really encouraged because as you get through really big projects, having the ability to copy existing codes can be very helpful. It may take you a long time to get through if there's a project that has a lot of code. So being able to remix is awesome. The other reason is because that I've used it is if I don't understand how something is done, but I've seen a project do it, then I remix it to see what they've done and try and work through it that way. And I love this. I love your comments here. Azra's saying that I believe the students will learn faster than I will. Syntax copy and paste was my best friend. Yes. Actually, I use backpack a lot, especially when I've done some like really critical thing that I don't want to lose that code, and I think I might be able to apply it again. I use that backpack feature, which I showed you. Okay, let's go into your code and let's take a look. So walk me through what you wanted to accomplish here.
Okay, I found my mistake. Instead of saying, I should have said frog, and I didn't say when it touches the frog, it's supposed to hide. But now when I'm doing it, it's not hiding still. Like when I play the thing, it doesn't, as soon as it touches the frog's tongue, it's the butterfly supposed to hide. That means the frog has eaten the butterfly up.
Okay, so who do you want to disappear? The butterfly?
Yes.
Okay.
But it's not doing it still.
Because, so one of the things I'm looking at immediately that comes to mind when you say you've got a show here, so when the flag is clicked, you're showing it. But then you're also saying on this side, when the flag is clicked forever, can you hide it? So I'm going to see what happens.
And I changed that. It's supposed to be not the mouse pointer, it's supposed to be the frog. I just changed that, but I think you can't see it in your thing because I changed it.
So sorry, did you just
it's supposed to be the frog. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
I changed
what?
It. Yeah, it's supposed to be the frog there, not the pointer.
Oh, so the frog is supposed to disappear versus the butterfly, or which one are you? Oh, I think I know what you're saying.
Oh, the butterfly is supposed to disappear.
The butterfly is supposed to disappear, and the frog is supposed to. Let's look at your frog. So you've got when he's clicked forever. If he's touching the butterfly,
the frog says, "Oh no."
Yes, if touching the butterfly.
Yeah.
Then say, "Oh no," for 2 seconds, and then he's going there, and then you've got your butterfly that he's showing up, and then he's hiding when the mouse touches it. So when I, as a user, touch it with my mouse.
No. It's supposed to be the frog touching when the butterfly touches the frog. I wrote that wrong. It's supposed to be the
switch
frog
that right here? Awesome.
Yeah, I already switched it in my own thing.
Awesome. So we got, what's your name? He comes in there. Oh, it touched the frog and it disappeared.
Oh yeah, it's gone. Okay, yeah, now it's working.
It's working. So I mean, all I noticed was that you have it correct. You've got the if condition on touching, sensing something that it will hide. So that's good. That's why I think it's important to actually walk through the code, because when I first saw this, I saw, oh, when the flag is pressed, you're going to show, and when the flag is pressed, you're going to hide. But you really got to walk through that code to see what's really supposed to happen. So I think this is great. You're showing that when the butterfly comes in, it's going to hide. Okay, so I think everybody's going to be coming back shortly, or is everybody back? Nope, not yet. So they'll be back shortly. Is that right, Jen?
Yeah, they'll be back in a couple minutes. I just want to point out while we're on Nadia's code, Nadia, when you ran it, are you getting the frog to say, oh no? Oh, yes. You are? Okay, it wasn't happening on my screen.
Yeah.
I thought it was because maybe the butterfly was disappearing too early, but if it works for you, perfect. But yeah, I've just found I added a delay on when it touches the frog and when it disappears, and it works perfectly. I love it. It's so funny.
It was supposed to say, oh no.
Oh, I see. Okay, so
poor butterfly.
Bye all. Thank you.
Bye. Thanks, Shannon. I hope that's helpful, and the videos will be there for you to watch. Bye. Okay. Thanks. Bye. So Jen, you put the delay where at what point? Was it here?
So I went back. So what I thought was happening on my end, and maybe it was just my computer, because if it was working for Nadia, then maybe it was fine. But I went back to the butterfly, because what I thought what was happening, as soon as the butterfly touches the frog, it disappears immediately. So what I thought what was happening is it wasn't giving the frog enough time to register that it had touched the butterfly before it could say. So I just added a wait 1 second before the butterfly hides here on this screen, and then it's enough time for the frog to realize that it's touching. But you could probably even make it smaller, like half a second.
Yeah, so I'll do that.
I'm sorry, it makes me laugh every time when he's like, "Oh no!"
No, because
I love it.
It should be like the butterfly as it's coming in, going, ah! I'm going into the mouth of the enemy. Okay, so I'm going to hit it there and do what Jen was just saying. Oh no! Perfect. So that delay, Nadia, I do say it might have worked for you. I didn't have this when I ran it right now. I didn't see that. Oh no. So something maybe to consider is that wait function. I tend to use the wait function a lot more than I thought I would ever need to. I do it for animations. I do it when I'm having conversations. It just allows things to make sure that they don't happen too quickly and then they get missed. So that's one way to help it. So I guess they're coming. I don't know. Is my time off? I got them. That they're coming.
Probably on their way. Laura said they'd be back by about 2:30, so they're working on it.
They're working on it. So right now, did you have any other questions about any of the challenges? So I'm going to pull up the challenges slide, go into the presentation. Let's go into intro to coding. And so I see that we've done some changing sprites. We've moved to different locations. We tried that one. Anyone try the drawing? I love that the frog. I'm going to show you the code that they have to. Sorry, they're coming back to us, Jen. Sorry. Yes, please. I'll just show you quickly the one sprite that for this challenge of being able to create a shape. So going back here, I created, going back into my classes I want to go back into the studio. I'm doing it the roundabout way. For some reason, when I go out, I don't see the class right away. So I'm going to go here. And I had one where I'm drawing, let's see here, drawing a hexagon. So just go in there. And we're going to look inside. And so if you press the flag, what I've done here is you can see that it draws basically a hexagon multiple times. And sorry, there's someone at my door. This happened last time. Jen, can I ask you to sort of maybe just talk through this code quickly? I have to go to my door. There's someone at my doorbell. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, I can talk through it. I've never used the draw function before, so I'm going to try and pull it up on I can reason through it enough.
I'm just, I can text my husband. The doorbell might start going. So just be aware.
So yeah, basically all she has done here is you can see there's two sections of code. So she's defined the shape that she wants to be drawn, puts the pen down, and there's a loop there. So repeat it 6 times. So that's how she's defining what a hexagon is to Scratch. So that's a separate piece. And then she's saying in her code, when you click the flag, erase everything. So if there was anything left over from the previous instance of you running this code, erase the canvas here, and then show everything, put it in a certain direction. She's having it go to that 0, 0 on that Cartesian plane that we were talking about, and starting to draw from there. So she's got it repeating 4 times. So it's starting a hexagon, turning 90 degrees, starting another hexagon, turning 90 degrees, starting another hexagon, turning 90 degrees, and then starting the 4th one. Obviously, I can't scroll on her screen, so I don't know if there's anything else to that code. But it's just a 2-part code, basically.
Thanks, Jen. How I signed up for this workshop. I really like to sign up for future. How do I do that? Okay. So 2 questions that just came in, and I apologize. I don't know why I always do an online session and the doorbell goes. But so Nikki asks, hi, Margie, I can't remember how I signed up for this workshop, and I'd really like to sign up for future workshops. So how do I do that? So we have on our website, a page, the virtual professional learning network. That's where all the registrations are set up. Communications go out through emails to Bachelor of Ed students, to Master's students, and then also if you if you can follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, I believe the information was on the front. If not, we'll make sure, maybe I can just ask, oh there, Jen put it all down there, so those are the codes. But you can find us, I think it's at STEAM 3D Lab. Maybe somebody could put the our Twitter handle and then our Facebook account. Those are just
Laura's
some ways.
gone ahead and put it in the chat there. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at STEAM 3D Maker Lab, same on all accounts. We post out all of our sessions as soon as we come up with them. Some fill up earlier than others, which is why now we are asking for people's consent to record and share. Because we do like to be a little bit more interactive. That's why we tend to limit the registrations. So keep an eye on that URL and on that handle that Laura's put in the chat for all of our social media, and then you can watch out for future ones.
Thanks. And then, yes, so next week we do have a workshop on, it's Make Code with Microbits. So hopefully that is helpful. It will, we tend to be this time frame, yes. Laura is a key part of this, but also for me, mornings are not always the best. And we have someone coming in from Hawaii, Laura. So we're trying to make it so that it works with all of our schedules. So I just want to continue on now to go on the last little bit to talk about some things such as strategies for coding and some particular activities. So first of all, strategies for coding. And these are the things that I have experienced, read about, seen, and but by no means is this the full comprehensive list. And so I'll just go through what I have noticed, and maybe I can ask any of you any suggestions or strategies that you have used in yours if you have conducted a Scratch lesson or a lesson with coding. So first and foremost, I think you need to have that classroom of trust and risk-taking. I say that because, you know, you want your students to feel that it's okay to make a mistake and to share that, because coding you will experience mistakes. And I find I'm constantly making a mistake and trying to work through that. So having that ability where I feel it's okay to make a mistake is really important, and that I trust that I'm not going to be looked down at for making a mistake. Those are really important things, and to be able to take a risk. So I'm going to try something new and I may not be successful, but I feel like this is the environment to do that. And so those are two key things that I think about when about strategies for coding. And then one of the things that personally I think could be very successful is having co-developed classroom coding norms or strategies that you talk about together and sort of post them on the room, post them on the wall and say, or on your online forum to say, these are the kind of things that we agree together. And then one of the things I think is so important, we need to learn to fail and appreciate that failure is part of learning. And rereading your code line by line. So these are strategies on how they can actually work through a coding project, and troubleshooting, debugging. Retest your code one action at a time. So I had done that. I've particularly done that actually with robotics when I did block coding. I found that sometimes when I had all the code together, it was really, and something wasn't working, I wasn't able to sort of figure that out. So I sort of took out, I had 3 functions. I took out one at a time and tested each, and then slowly brought each together, and I was able to find the error. Ask a friend in another group, take a break, come back when you're ready to try again, and then remixing. I found that when I wasn't able to do something, and I saw a lot of students doing this, they were able to remix, and then they're really able to understand how something worked.
Okay, can I add something to this?
Yes,
Margaret?
I was just going to say, Ian.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what we, my teaching partner Diane Tepelo and we tried something a little bit radical in our last coding and communications class, which we had for the high school pre-teachers this last term. What we did is we actually took all the marks out of learning how to code. So we didn't mark them on how they were actually coding, but we did mark them based on their portfolio work, which is them thinking about how they might be able to use this in their classroom, and they're thinking about, how does this work? How does this not work? So we actually got them being reflective. That's what was the main part. And then their actual, if they learned how to code, that was awesome. If they didn't learn how to code, that was okay, as long as you know how to think about the pedagogies that we're trying to teach you. And the result was that everybody learned how to code like incredibly. I had one fellow in the first week was like, he was pulling his hair out, and he didn't have very much, which was really sad. And by the end, he created a whole virtual gym that would lead people in workouts in Scratch, which was just so cool. So yeah, so taking the pressure off what you want them to learn, so that they're not doing it and they don't have to they have that ability to just say, hey, look, I can do this now. I don't have to worry that I'm not going to get an A. I'm not going to worry that I'm not going to pass because I can't do this. And that actually lets everybody do it more. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah. No, that's excellent. And those are our teachers. What about when you were teaching in your class? Because I know you've done it a lot with students, coding. I mean, I was with you the one time. Now, ours was a research project, but one thing I found when I was working with students is oftentimes I really had to, Laura actually mentioned this, it's that just-in-time learning. Laura Morrison talked about that,
yes.
Which is, you want them to be a little frustrated, but I think, because that, I find deep learning can come when you are like, oh, something's not working, and then you really work hard to try and figure it out. But if it goes too far that way, where they're too frustrated, then it cannot accomplish what they hope to get accomplished.
We never, ever had a test on coding. You could use the coding to demonstrate your learning, though. So it was like, it's just another language that I get to present in. So sure, I could present it as a slideshow, boring, or I could present it as, a stand-up thing. But here, I can make a program so people can play with this, and it became a whole other thing that they could do. So again, I have to separate it from my classroom culture, which was my classroom culture was a markless classroom, anyways. So it was all just about, what are you going to demonstrate next? What are you going to demonstrate next? How are you demonstrating it to get them to be creative, to get them to be critical thinking? So we didn't actually work on marks at all. It was like never a problem. Like, we just don't mark the coding. We mark the things that you've learned with the coding, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So it's sort of you're not looking at just purely the end product. You're looking at the process.
Yes.
And
and
looking at and the thinking along the way versus, you didn't accomplish this specific loop function in the code.
Yeah, so Conrad Wolfram, if you've never heard of him, go look him up on YouTube. He's amazing. He says, if you can code it, you understand it.
There we go. Yeah. Now, Morafat mentions here, just to continue on here, how do we handle students that are frustrated that their codes are not working and their friends' codes are working? So one of the things that this is the things that I've noticed is those classrooms that, again, start to have those agreements that, hey, we're all different learners. We're that trusting environment where it's okay that this person knows a little bit more about coding than me, who may not know as much. We're all supporting one another. And some really good examples I've seen are where there's a lot of collaborative discussions with students themselves. So in the particular case where one student is able to be successful with code, if they share that information, encouraging them to talk through, I really encourage teachers not to be the only one to answer the coding question, to try and get others to actually participate and to share their information. So I've seen that. We had March break camps in the past, and what I noticed is there was all different levels of students with coding experience. And at the beginning, maybe they were a little hesitant to show their codes. By the end, they were all saying, hey, how do I do this? And how you did this? How did I do that? So there was a lot more of that collaborative because they trusted one another. They had that, and from that environment where they felt it was okay to not be the best coder and they could learn from each other.
Yeah, and also there's like 3 different levels of that I train my kids in. There's, there's telling, where you just tell them the answer. There's helping, which is to kind of like to like coax them through, and then there's coaching, where you ask them questions in order for them to answer their own questions. So I train my students to do this as well. But there are times, and we all recognize this, when you just need to be told. Like I said, I can't find that block that does X. So you just need to tell me what the block is. You don't need to say, well, you could go search through all the blocks. That doesn't help. Just tell me the darn block and let me get on with it. So you have to like gauge where the student's at and what they need.
Yeah. So that actually ties very nicely to our next slide, which is the teacher's role.
Wow, I'm good.
You're good. Flowed right through there, and we'll just go quickly here. So these are just the things that I've noticed is and that I've seen that have worked successfully, and sort of tying upon that. Let your students teach you. One of the things that I was part of a group of teachers, and that we said, one of the things we said is, don't immediately say you know how to do it. And in fact, oftentimes it's really good for the teacher to say, I don't know. Let's learn together and figure it out together. And then, or I know so-and-so knows, maybe we can learn together at the same time. And what we found is that some of those students really love the fact that they can teach the teacher. And it's almost motivating to them. Be transparent. If you're not the expert, I would say it right up front and say, hey, we're going to be going on this learning journey together, because Scratch is a really interesting platform. It's really interesting to learn, and we can try a lot of different things. Let's go on it together. And encouraging that community learning environment. But this is where I think Laura mentioned to me, it's really important for that just-in-time sort of learning. So you can allow them to be frustrated, but you've got to identify when that frustration can shift into a give up. And so it's a good balance that you got to try and keep. Yufuk, you mentioned something. I don't know if you want to. Do you want to talk about it? What your experience here about purpose and motivation in coding?
Yeah, so I started out with Scratch by asking students to design their own characters and to animate them. But then after they learn several blocks, they go on to storytelling. And then the next challenge is when they come to second year in learning Scratch, I ask them to create educational games for younger students. Now we work on the algorithm and how they can create a maths game, even an addition, a subtraction, and how they can do that randomly. We talk about the algorithm, the logic of it, but then we talk about what makes it engaging for them to play games. And then I ask them, that is so boring if you just ask them the same math questions over and over again. So they challenge themselves in finding creative ways and creating games in between the questions. And it is amazing what they come out with. They are so creative, and they challenge themselves, and they find the extra blocks. They go for the extra mile because they actually have people. And then we invite the younger ones to our classroom. They actually have the audience there. They get the feedback from them, and some of them are interested, So that kind of motivates them. I think that's the highest success I've had in the projects that I have had. If they actually have a purpose, everyone participates in it, and they really work for it, and they never give up because they have an audience.
I think you hit on some really key points there. If they have the purpose, if they're motivated to learn, then they'll want to do it. There's no stopping them. I know, I'll just give an example of what I did at home with my kids, and we're going to go right into the learning activities. So maybe I'll just switch that here. I think I mentioned I have a 6-year-old and I have a 10-year-old. And so they're different levels. But what we decided to do was escape rooms. And so I brought them into a room, and I closed the door, and I said, this an escape room is where there is no door handle here. There's no ability to get out of this room directly. They have to figure out some sort of puzzle, or they have to search to find the way out of the room. And then what I did is I got them to design. So they each took, you can't see it, but it's like storyboarding. So I got them to write it out first. This is a really good technique before you start into Scratch. So you sort of have the logic of how you want it to flow. And so you're right, being motivated, having a purpose, both of them, I couldn't believe how much they ran with it. And my kindergarten just went crazy. She's like drawing these things. And then we went into Scratch. My kindergarten did Scratch Junior. Rebecca, her name is, and Jaden worked in Scratch, and they created escape rooms. And they didn't fully work out the way they wanted, but you know what? It was really engaging for them to try. So that's just an example of learning activities. And thank you, Fak. And I think one other thing I wanted to point out is the idea of mentoring. You talked about 2 different ages there and age groups, and I had 2 different. That really helps if you can get that trusting environment where they're learning to share and being able to support and mentor others and teach others. It works really well in coding. So maybe Ian, if you want to share, or anyone else wants to share any ideas that come to mind for learning activities. Just one thing before you start. In the following slides, I have tons of different examples that you could do, okay? And you have all these, I did focus on language and math and science, but some of these can be expanded to other subjects. But I wanted us to discuss some ideas that do come to mind for any learning activities. Any thoughts? Build a city. Love it, Morfad.
Not to put Andrew on the spot, but he seems to have a lot of ideas. He seems to have done a lot of this.
Would you mind sharing, Andrew?
Sorry. Well, I guess it's always knowing whatever grade you're working with. For me, as someone who works with multiple grades, is sort of like knowing what they'll know what they know is always helpful, and then trying to link it to something that they're already doing is always a fun thing. But just to get interested in Scratch or into Scratch, what we were talking about in our group Breakout was having them animate their name and then having each of the letters do something different so they can do that. And then just giving them little challenges. So one that's popular is a 10 block challenge. So they just have 10 blocks that they can use and go from there. So
awesome.
I hope I didn't miss the point of the question.
No, it's basically, I sort of asked 3 questions. Any learning activities that you have actually done, or any strategies that you have used or have tried with your class? So that 10 block, I love that idea. There's different ideas for also how to start with students and how to continue on. So I think you also mentioned that too, this is where you start and then where you can progress to. I want to ask now, what are some challenges that you think you might encounter? And I want us to discuss that as a group, because I think all of us have different experiences and can talk to that. So availability of resources and devices. Yep. Availability of iPads or computers. Did any of you notice the lag in Scratch as we were all going into varying levels of? Yeah. So one thing to be aware of in coding in anywhere or even using any online is that, sometimes when you start bringing in a lot of people, you can start seeing lags. And so that can be that can add to frustration of students. So it's something to be aware of. The one thing about Scratch is there is also a desktop version. Not that you can use that very well in an online environment, but you could actually have them maybe work online and then maybe upload it afterwards and then view it, or something to that effect. So perhaps maybe it doesn't lag as much. And there's more comments here, so I'm going to take a look. Not being able to share code. Yes, so you're right. That's one of the things that I was hoping that it would, and I really tested that out. And unfortunately, it doesn't work in real time. So, you know, we can't look at the code at the same time. The only thing that we did in our session is if I couldn't see the specific changes, or I looked in the studio, I saw the project, but they had modified it afterwards. So I just got them to present. So in Google Meet. So that might be an option where they actually just show their code on screen for everybody to look at versus trying to see a one-time shot that may not be the correct version.
Okay. Sorry, Margie.
Yeah.
I'm behind. It took me a while to find my old Padlet, but I put a Padlet link in there, and that goes to all the different basic starter ideas that my students came up with this year, or this last term. So it's all like, hey, you could definitely code this, and it's like little. It instead of actually telling them how to do it, you can just say, here's an idea, go and do it. So there's great. Lots of really great ideas there.
And thank you so much, Ian. That's great. So we'll make sure that, well, this is on the video, so, but I would encourage you to click on that if you want some ideas. And also, I wanted to mention that you could use Google Classroom, any online learning management, and you can make sure that they put the links in for their projects, so you can actually make that part of work that you see them doing.
So, Margie, I'm just going to jump in. We only have about 4 or 5 minutes left. So I know that you have the curriculum connection slides.
Oh, yeah, here.
Do we maybe want to just show people where to access that and then head into the debrief?
Well, this is all part of the presentation, so it's all available to them on this presentation. I didn't actually link up to curriculum connections, but they all are aligned to curriculum connections, so I don't tell you which specific ones, but they're pretty much there. You can see them right away. So I didn't want to go too in depth, and I wanted to leave this in your hands because I did want to ask the last section, because we're just near the end. Just to end it off, to think about any flipped approach considerations, thinking about your own students. What things might you consider when creating a fully online flipped classroom? Any thoughts there?
The students' comfort with technology, or like the ability to be like, when you ask them, "Oh, can you share your screen?" and they like, "Huh?"
Yeah.
Like, the younger generation, or well, anybody, when you ask them, like, they're consumers, not necessarily, they're not used to this, and if you haven't had a chance to model it with them in a classroom setting, it's sometimes hard because you can't like go over there and be like, okay, click on this. Like you can look over their shoulder and like see like, okay, click on this, like, it's hard. So you sort of have to pretend like, okay, where are you now and what are you looking at and how, yeah, go to the left. No, that's too far.
Yeah. And you'll see, I think you got an appreciation for that in this session, is that like I can look at a studio, I can look at projects, but that may not be enough. So you may want to, one of the things I was thinking is if I really know my students and I know them well and we have a really good environment and trusting, I feel that they have enough confidence online to be able to do this, then I would maybe try a flipped classroom. I would never do it as an intro to starting with Scratch, for example. I'm just going to continue because the last thing I do want to say here, and we're out of time, but or 2 minutes, is the rose, thorn, and bud. So we have a Padlet here. If you want to click on that, and if you just want to let us know anything that you learned, any challenge you encountered, or anything that you want to share, we'd really appreciate you adding this to there. And I'm just going to quickly talk. There was student feedbacks, and maybe harder to know where students are having trouble. That's with the flipped classroom. Yep. Is there any last thoughts that anyone wants to share here? And I'm going to just go into the Padlet, and we have basically a 1 minute here. This presentation will be again sent to you. Not give us a couple days just to get it all processed and available to you, so you can see both of the different breakouts and just see the material. But also, all of those activities are available to you in the slides, and the links in the comments if you want to click on those to get access to them. Any last thoughts from anyone learning? Oh, okay, I see that. So even if you don't have the other, I'm not sure if the other session was recorded, but even not, we do have this session, and you can see the breakout that we had.
Yeah, the other breakout was recorded.
Oh, it was. Perfect.
So you'll have both perspectives. I'm going to post the link again in the chat where that'll all be available.
So the very first part of our breakout wasn't recorded when we were still trying to get set up, but the experimenting and sharing and discussion after was.
Thank you, Laura.
No problem.
Thank you.
That's okay.
No, I did the same thing, Ian, and in the first time we did our session, I didn't record my breakout. Online learning. Hey, it's okay. We make mistakes. I feel like that is so important to understand in any of this, and teachers really need to appreciate, especially as they try a new pedagogical approach of online learning. So thank you very much to everyone. It is 3 o'clock. We will be sharing all this information, and it's been great to see a lot of you. And I really wish you all the best of luck in your online endeavors. Stay tuned for future sessions. Next week, we are doing Make Code with Microbit. And yeah, thank you, everyone. Thanks, Ian. Thanks, Laura. Thanks, Jen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Margie, can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
I just wanted to find out, did I sign up for the next one? I believe I put in my wrong email address.
Okay.
I forgot to put the dot in, like nadia.kashif, because I haven't used it in a long time, and I forgot about the dot. Like, I just wanted to see if I'm in that, because it's closed right now, so I can't look to see if I'm in.
Sorry, Nadia, is it the Tuesday session you signed up for, or the Thursday?
Both. I signed up for all three.
Yeah, so I changed you for the Tuesday session. But, yeah, Margie, if you have access to see who signed up for your next Thursday session, and then just change Nadia's, yeah, because it bounced back for me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm going to look at that now. And it looks like, Nadia, you put your address in correctly for the Thursday one.
Okay, so I guess. Anyway, thanks a lot. It was a great session and learned so much. Yeah, I learned how to share my screen as well.
That's good.
Yeah.
Nadia, I do know there was one thing, I remember having a conversation with you. This is going back a couple of months. So one of the things you talked about was the idea that you didn't know, it was almost like, how do you communicate between two sprites? I think it was that. So you'll see in, I believe it's the second video, the advanced, if you want to take a look, I do talk about the broadcast function. So that's what I use as if I have one sprite that I wanted to, soon as it's done its conversation, it broadcasts a message to the other one. It's sort of a behind the scenes messaging way saying, I'm done talking, you talk now. And then I set a condition in the other one that it receives that broadcast message, and then it starts talking. So that's in the video if you want to take a look, and if you want to try it, by all means, and just you can let me know if you have any issues.
No problem.
Okay, thank you to everyone. I think